soul of San Antonio and the world. It's a Friday, so you're listening to the Now Is Money Show. And I'm your host, Alan J Copeland Sr. And in the studio with me is
Mashaun Hirschler with Thuggin' for Christ Ministries.
Thuggin' for Christ. That's when people can get some help that need some help.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Young men ages 18 to 24. We do mentorship for everybody else too, but our main objective is working with the young men ages 18 to 24 at our homeless shelter. We have a phrase that goes, "When is now?" In the middle of your addiction, affliction, as you sit and reminisce on your past pains and abuses, a thug for Christ is someone willing to mend the broken while guiding the lost, despite your circumstances and situation, and showing the unconditional love of God.
Now, what got you started doing this?
In 2020, me, my wife, and my son was in Haven for Hope, and we was homeless at the time, and we was coming off of methamphetamines. And God just came into my life and just said, "Sean, I need you." And I'm like, "What for?" He said, "Man, I need you to go back into the streets that you came out of to help save my people." Right? My mom kicked me out at 9. By the time I was 13, I was in foster care. By the time I was 17, I was in prison. Been to prison 4 times, did a total of 10 years.
I kind of want to be saved by somebody that's been through some stuff.
Exactly.
And they understand the stuff that they've been through.
Mm-hmm.
And because you don't know what addiction does to you until you're in addiction.
Facts.
I grew up in Buffalo, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And in Buffalo, New York, my mom wouldn't let me go in the street, but I can go around the block.
Yeah.
So around the block, there was a place where the alcohol was, the
Mm-hmm.
liquor stores and all that stuff. And there was always winos out there drinking liquor.
Yeah.
You know, the Moondog, the 2020 and that stuff.
Yeah.
And I call them the most successful person in the world because every day they got in their mind that they're going to get a drink. And every day they get a drink.
Okay.
And then every day, what do when they get a drink? They share it with their friends.
Yeah.
That's what their goal is every day, to get a drink and share it with some friends. I got somebody else to get a drink with.
Okay.
But they at least been through that.
Yeah.
And we want to take that success that people having and make it more honest, more positive.
Mm-hmm. By the time it was 2023, we opened up our first homeless shelter for youth ages 18 to 24, young men. And so not only do we sit with them, we walk with these young men and we show them how to live life productively, even though they might not have grown up with a family environment. We become that kind of family environment for them, and we teach them professional development skills. I mean, we partner with so many organizations throughout the city that comes in and helps us love on these young men.
About a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And I left my dog with my brother.
Yeah.
But when I got back home, the dog was weak. He didn't look like he ate. Didn't look like he was drinking or anything like that. So, because I didn't really tell my dog. You can't talk to him, tell me he's leaving. So when I got back home and he didn't eat, he couldn't even stand up on all 4 legs to eat. He was so tired and so unnourished.
Yeah.
So I had to sit next to him for a little while and lay down on the floor with him and just pet with him right there. And that's the kind of thing that I'm hearing you saying, that as people going through, they got an ear, they got some place that they can go through and talk through why they're going through.
Yes. Me and my wife both came out of foster care. And so the lack of family was just that. So we deal with a lot of young men who come from foster care. We deal with a lot of young men that come from these projects, right, where the mom is just, going through her struggles and the dad ain't around. And so they feel abandoned. They feel like there's nobody out there that cares. And what we're trying to do is let them see the value that they have within themselves. We're trying to bring out those positive qualities from within that society and life just beat them down upon. Next week for a leadership conference. And the building that I'm doing with these young men, there are other people who are investing in me to build in me. Because when I was at Haven for Hope, I didn't know none of this stuff. But there was a person, his name is Taylor Rogers, right? He's with Wildfire Network right down the street on Walsham. And this man found me at Haven for Hope. And he believed in my vision when I told him when I was homeless. I said, "Man, this is what I want to do with my life." He said, "Oh, yeah, for real?" I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Man, well, how can I help you make that happen?" And because of that mentorship and that leadership and that guidance, man, I was able to give that back to these young men.
Now, you've been in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, in the news, they talk about the Hernandez brothers, and they were getting their parole, but they didn't have parole because that's the second person I heard that had a phone in the prison and got caught with the phone outside. And I'm like, how you get a cell phone in the jail, and they don't know? I mean, I ain't never been. I don't even want to be close to no jail, but. What about that? Can you get a cell phone in the jail?
Oh man, you can get a cell phone in jail. You can get drugs in jail. You can get whatever you want in there.
You deal with people that was in prison and not, because that's a whole different life.
I personally don't deal with the ex-offenders, meaning individuals who go into prison and come out. I deal with the ones who are like on pretrial probation. So they get arrested, they go to jail, and then they get released on probation or on bond. And while they're on bond, they're on this sort of pretrial probation while they're working on convicting them. They're trying to indict them, right? The indictment process is when you get arrested, they have to prove that you committed that crime. Mm-hmm. During that time, these individuals are released back out into the public. And if they don't have nowhere to go, 9 times out of 10, they're going to reoffend, especially young people. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a house or a place where these young folks can come to. That way they don't have to go back into the same neighborhood that got them in trouble in the first place. They can have somewhere that can help them get out of that charge and possibly get it off their record. So they don't have to be considered an ex-felon and they don't have to go to prison. My mom, she was addicted and we was homeless. So everybody around me was either on drugs somewhere, a part of a gang, running the streets, and that became normal to me. That was my normal life. Like I didn't picture myself being who I am today. My whole life, I thought that either I was going to spend the rest of my life in prison, or I was going to die, or probably end up on drugs for the rest of my life. That was the future that I had growing up as a kid. That's what I saw my future being. And so a lot of times it's not by choice that we get put into those situations. Sometimes it's just by the nature of who we're born to, right? And so that's why we created Thuggin' for Christ and in the Hood to Holy House is because we want to be able to create an avenue out of the life. I was introduced to the gang life. I was introduced to selling drugs by both my parents and the people around me. And I want to give people a way and an opportunity to get out of that life if they choose to, right? Not everybody wants to, not everybody understands that they can, but we want to be able to still have that avenue just in case.
It seems easier to be in that spot.
I mean, the way you have to see it is that if I was born into something and all I know is, let's say I grew up in a rich house, right? All my family got money. We're always going on vacations. We're always doing stuff. And then I go and I meet somebody who's never been on a vacation. I don't understand that. What do you mean you've never been on a vacation? This is what I've been doing since I was a kid, right? It's the same thing with individuals who grow up in the poverty, right? In the projects, is that, man, if you walk outside of your door from the age of 1 to the age of 18, and all you've ever seen was drug dealing and gang banging and selling drugs and all this stuff, what makes you think that that person believes that they can get out of that life if that's all they've ever known? And so that's what Thuggin' for Christ is. Thuggin' for Christ is that paradigm shift. Thuggin' for Christ is that alternative of saying, hey, look at me, an ex-thug, an ex-gang member, and I was able to make it out, and so can you. And it's going back in to the same places I used to sell drugs at and saying, hey, you don't have to do this no more, man. There is a better way, and I can help guide you to this path with the team that we have around us, right? One of my staff members, right? Her name is Destiny Villarreal. Wonderful woman, man. She's like my right hand in our organization. And this woman, she did 25 years. She went in at 16, right? And she did 25 years for murder because somebody tried to take advantage of her and she defended herself. And this woman is working at our organization and working in our ministry. And not only is she impactful, but she understands what these young people are going through because she was also introduced to that life. she was also introduced to this situation where she had to serve 25 years because of the people that was around her, and she is also helping us get people out. And so, right, our organization, right, we have from the CEO, myself, down, everybody has lived experience, whether we've been to prison, whether we've been on drugs, whether, right, we've dealt with mental health, right? We all have lived experience saying that, hey, man, how do I keep looking at people who grow up in church or grow up and have a bachelor's degree and have all these degrees and associations? How am I supposed to be like them? And how can you tell me how to live my life if you never known what it's like to wake up during the day and your mom ain't around because she's out using drugs? How are you going to tell me that everything is going to be fine when I go to school and I got to fight every day to go to school, right? And you telling me I can go to college? For real? When I leave this schoolhouse, I got to go home, right, back into the neighborhood, and I got to fight and defend myself every day. So how are you going to tell me that I can have a future? So then somebody who came from that comes in and says, hey, guess what? I got an associate's degree, right? I own my own organization. I'm starting my new business right now. It's a landscaping business where we're going to teach these young men how to build a business from the ground up. And not only are they're going to do landscaping, right? But they're also going to do the back end office work. They're going to learn how to do budgeting and financing and marketing and everything else. So that way they can expand the business and then they're going to get a buy-in. Why? Because generational wealth doesn't come because of what you're born into. It comes because of the opportunities of the people around you coming together to work as a collective.
And how can people get in touch with you?
By going to our website, thugginforchrist.com, our Facebook page. You can also find me at Shaun, Shaun, Hirschler, Hirschler. So we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have YouTube, and we have our website.
Now, you mainly say men. Are you doing any just females or just men or just men?
Right now, no, sir. We're just doing just the men. And the reason for that is because of the absentee of fathers and husbands in the houses. Single moms raising children. And I mean, I work with a whole bunch of single moms that work at my organization right now. And I know for a fact that they would love to have a man to be there just to support, not to do anything like they need somebody, but to have that side support, right? And the absentee of husbands and fathers in the world today is just sad.
Yeah, it is. I did some volunteer work for a middle school because they didn't have any black men teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go and just walk the halls during the day so they could see a black person, a black man walk in the halls and talk, and then I could talk to them too.
Yeah.
And they also would have me come in and talk to them when they got in trouble.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's just one of those things, right? I grew up without a father. I do know my father now, and my mom is clean and sober, and my dad is in my life. So I'm in both of my parents' lives now today. But I was out of my kid's life for 8.5 years. And that was during the time I was in the streets and everything. And then I got my son when he was the age of 12. And just watching him and seeing the path that he was heading down. When he came to me, he was already dealing with a couple of felonies. He was already on his road down the same path I went down. And today he's 18, right? And my son, man, he's going to San Antonio A&M, and he got a job, and his life just completely transformed when his father came back into his life. And that's what we want to do, right? We want to try to keep the men in the house where they're not, doing domestic violence. They're not going out robbing and stealing and cheating on their wives and stuff, right? They're actually being husbands, right? The God-fearing men that we was created to be.
Now, it just brings back, remember, I told you that I was volunteering and did that.
Yeah.
I remember one kid got in and he got in trouble and he went to that alternate school
Yeah.
that he was in trouble with, that he had to did, and he was in an alternate school. And I remember when I went to go visit him, he was so shocked that I came and visit him that made a big difference. And that's what you do, visit people in their need, in their dying need, and give them an ear to listen to.
Yeah, man. I didn't learn how to be the man I am today without other men being in my life. So I have a mentor group of men who are married men that have been married for 12 years, 33 years, right? Men that raise their kids, right? They're there. They're not perfect, but they're there. And with these men that mentor me, they allow for me to be a father to my son. But not only that, but be a male role model to these young men that come through our program. A lot of times, males are just looking for that positive male role model to look to say, hey, can you just help me when I'm struggling through something? Give me some advice so I can know that I can make it through this, right? It's not trying to be nobody's parents, right? We're not trying to be somebody's father or nothing, but we have to have those positive male role models that would guide us. Because if not, then they're going to end up happening like I did, right? And somebody who's selling drugs and gangbanging is going to pick them up and is going to be that male role model for them, like they was for me. And so I'm just trying to be the opposite of what I was given.
Now, in the news, they talking about a kid committed suicide that was talking to ADP, or not ADP, that says the system that you can talk to the computer and it can talk to you. And you are a human person that people can talk to. And it's just such a much better thing.
Yeah, the personal interaction of dealing with somebody that is there, right? It's a different feeling than talking to somebody over the phone or talking to a computer, because that sentiment isn't there, that authenticity isn't there, right? And when Christ sat down and talked to people, he sat down and he listened to them. He interacted with them. He loved on them in the middle of what they was going through and told them, hey, what you're going through is okay, but it's not where you're going to stay, right? And so that's what we do, right? We tell these young men, like, hey, man, what you're going through right now is a phase of life, but if you are able to learn how to overcome this point in time in your life, then what you're able to do is you're able to transcend into something different. And that transcending is learning how to love properly, learning how to be loved, learning how to be around somebody and not treat them like trash, right? And so yeah, so just being a man in their life is a big factor for me, because I saw the transformation in my own sons when I came back into their lives, and the change that happened within them to get them to where they're at now. And all it was because they had a father that was there, that wasn't scared to give them a hug and tell them that they loved them and maybe kiss him on the forehead. Even though he's 18, I'll still grab him around his neck and I'll tell him, hey son, I'm proud of you, and to kiss him on his forehead. He don't like it, but I'll do it, right? Because like, man, sometimes we just need that fatherly love, right? Yeah.
My son is 38, 39 years old. I still tell him I love him.
Yeah.
And when he's a coach and he be driving and he picking up kids and stuff, I'll be telling him I love him on the phone and that stuff, because it's you're supposed to.
Nah, for real. And I mean, when I met my dad at 30, I'm 36 right now, so I met my dad 6 years ago. When I met my dad, man, like all I wanted to do was just hug him, right? I just wanted him to hug me, right? And I wanted him to tell me, man, son, I'm proud of you, son, I love you, right? Like that's all I desired, was for my father to give me a hug and tell me that he loves me. And there's nothing weak about it, right? It's just, man, that's what I needed. I needed that male role model, somebody to train me and teach me how to be a man in my house.
Yeah, and there's nobody like a man and nobody like your real dad.
Exactly.
I don't care what he does, and there's nobody like your real dad. There ain't nobody that looks just like you, just like that. It's just good. Tell people where they can get in touch with you again, because we need some people to get in touch with you so they can get other people help.
Yeah, so our website is www.thuggin, THUGGIN for FOR Christ, CHRIST.com, and or they can call 210-608-7802. And that is our program director line. So and Facebook and Instagram, everything is under Thuggin for Christ.
Now it's Monday.